What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another ECS Season 7 team interview. My name is Freya, and I have the pleasure of being joined by NBK from Vitality today. So this is the first time that Vitality have attended ECS in the online season, and you guys have made it to London. You guys have done incredibly well. How are the team feeling to be heading to London?
ECS has always been a very, very big event in Counter-Strike in the landscape, so it is important for us, especially due to the fact that we're an up-and-coming team. We need events with top teams in order to secure ourselves into a position where we get good games going and gain experience constantly. So it mattered a lot for us to be there at such a big event, and it's great. It's great. It took us 2 tries, but we did it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk about those the 2 tries you had. First of all, you were in week 2. You managed to make it to the grand final against North, where you had such a good run on Cash. You were 16-2 in that map. What happened going into the next 2 maps of that best of 3? Because it seemed to fall apart a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit just like how online games go sometimes, where shit happens pretty much. Because I don't know if it's just linked to online games, but we're still trying to find out stability in our roster and in the way we play, and I think that's what makes great teams, that they can play at an average level that is, I don't know, beating top 10 teams or less than that, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and, definitely.
And so that's something that we are sometimes still struggling on some maps, and that's most likely what happened, because then you look at the next week and we go through it. I'm not gonna say easily, because the final was pretty tough, but we managed to put better results consistently. So that's pretty much what we're working on, and what we managed to do. But for that game specifically, it's not the same. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And oh yeah, and I remember the economy update that happened right before also made it tough for us on Nuke to close out the game. We were at, I don't know, 11-4 or something. No, we were down, we came back, and then they had all the money in the world, no matter what. And
I mean, how has the team kind of been adapting to that with the economy changes? How has that been for the team to sort of reboot kind of around that?
Yeah, so first off, I think the latest update that happened by Valve, I think, is a good one, in the sense that it was very hard beforehand for with the system that was in place that they newly implemented. I think it's a good one though, on the bigger picture. And again, I think it just needs some tweaks in order to get better, and that's a good one they made. And so the general idea is that we need to save more in city side. That's kind of what I realize now, is that you need to save more in the city side in order to have more gun rounds and be able to challenge teams more. And on the T side, it's a lot about putting pressure constantly and keeping the opponent's economy low, because you don't need that much money to buy on the T side, so you can put more pressure on the cities and try to break them economically easier. That's pretty much the big takeaways we took from that.
Well, I mean, coming into week 3, you said you were kind of focusing on that consistency, which, I mean, definitely paid off against Optic, but what exactly was the approach there? Because it's all well and good to say we want to be more consistent, but how did you kind of manage to do that?
I don't know, that second week felt like redemption a little bit, because we think we would not get another spot in another week to qualify to the tournament, because we obviously ended up 3-1 in the Pinnacle Cup. And so that doesn't give you a good record in order to get into that top 8 that plays for land spots. So yeah, we wanted to give it all. First week we participated, it didn't work out, and so we're like, okay, now we get a second chance. We better not mess this one up, because that's we won't get followed on that. That's the only chance we get. And so we just prepared a bit better for every game, where we analyzed the opponents a bit better and had a much more specific game plan coming into each game. And I don't know, everybody was very hungry, everybody was on point, and the final was just insanely hard, because Heroic are pretty much in that situation also, where they don't have that many events to attend and to prove their worth, and so it was also a big deal for them, and they just tried to shit out of us on some maps, and so it made it a very tough opponent to play against.
So everybody has been talking about ZywOo. What has his integration into the team been like?
I didn't really know him that much when he joined the roster at the very beginning. But he's a very calm, nice guy that doesn't really care about social media, that doesn't really care about money, stuff like that. He just cares about playing Counter-Strike and playing good and doing some results for the team. And so we put that into an environment where he has controlled freedom in order for him to feel like he's still playing FPL, going all crazy, doing his youngster stuff. And on the other hand, we try to control that and put him into a system where it would be very useful for the team. And so that's why we're trying to make him evolve on, because he's insanely good. But being insanely good and being a great fragger doesn't mean necessarily that you're the most annoying player to play against. And so that's what we're trying to push him towards, because it's hard for an experienced player to know, in game the values of risk and reward, or how to do what to do at specific timings, at specific parts of the round, all that kind of stuff. And so that's what we're trying to push him towards, being more of a nuisance towards the opponent. More consistently, because he won't do it naturally, because he doesn't necessarily feel what exactly to do. He has a great approach toward the game and how to and just a global general feeling about the game, but he needs to still be more efficient in what he does.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it there, but you are an incredibly experienced player. You've played on so many different rosters, and you can really bring that kind of level of knowledge to the team. Is that something that you're almost hoping to bestow onto ZywOo to take him to that next level?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a lot of people are saying that the team revolves around ZywOo. It is partly true, because he's obviously our biggest weapon, and so you have to use him as such. But on the other hand, we're here to create a real project together, so a real way to approach the game in a proper manner and play good Counter-Strike, and not just ZywOo go kill and that's that. It goes much further than that. We have a very deep playbook, and we want to play with this. So he's a part of the puzzle pretty much, but if you want to be the best team in the world or be among them, you need to have a general system that works, not just one player that is there. So it's a project with different parts, and ZywOo is obviously a crucial one, and he can make our lives much easier because of the way he's playing, right? But
yeah,
we just need to have him fit as good as possible into the system, because he can be the best scorer in the world. Maybe we can set him up as good as we can. If we don't win rounds and we don't win games, ultimately it doesn't really matter. So he does the best things possible for the team to be good. He follows everything we tell him to do and that kind of stuff, and it works out so far. I mean, we've only been grinding and getting better and better at the game as a team, and we want to keep on doing that. So he is a big part of the puzzle as much as everybody else.
Well, exactly. I mean, I just want to pick up on something that Alex said in a recent interview. I can't remember exactly where it was, but he was saying that you guys were kind of changing and adapting your roles and positions within the team. Has anything, what has changed for you?
So we changed roles on a bigger picture, where I'm still project leader in a way, so like the general leader direction that we take as a team. But in game specifically, Alex is calling on the T side now, and so I think we're probably the only team that does something like this.
Yeah.
Because, in my opinion, if you look at some sports, not all of them, but some sports, you have, offensive coordinators or defensive ones, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And so you can really focus better on both areas. And so I'm leading on the CT half, and he is leading on the TF, because that's also where we're more comfortable, and because he has ideas, and it's necessary for him to have that in order to feel better in the team. So we went that way, and because we don't really have any ego in the team and nobody really cares, it's like, we play Counter-Strike and we try to do our best together. It can work in that roster. It could have never worked, for example, in the past G2 roster, where egos were too important for that to happen. So that's our approach globally. Then role-wise, I think we're pretty standard, where everybody should be. And it's all about being better maps that we're playing. So for example, Mirage, we've been putting in a lot of work and hopefully got better at it. Widening our map pool, that kind of stuff, where it's not like nothing really specific. Our roles are more or less the same, but we're just gonna get better and the roles again, like we need to get more used to one another and be sure that we're happy with what everybody's doing.
I mean, there's a couple of things I kind of want to pick up on there. Just as we were talking about maps,
Sure.
I want to ask about Vertigo. Is that something that you guys are going to be playing? Is that something that you're just going to be permabanning? What's the situation there with it?
So first off, we're extremely sad about the loss of Cash because
Yes.
that was probably our best map lately, and so we just got rid of it. So we managed to use it till the very end in the qualifiers, all that kind of stuff. So that was our last goodbye to the map.
Yeah, last send off.
Yeah, but ultimately that's something I always wanted. I want to play the 7 maps because there is no reason not to, because that gives you an edge on matchups in general, because few teams are playing the 7 maps, and so obviously you want to focus on the maps you're going to be playing more often and less than the other ones. But I mean, Vertigo has a very, very good start in the sense a lot of teams are playing it, so you have a lot of data already, and I'm expecting Valve to make some changes on the map, but I think it's cool to have new stuff and to experiment. As a group, we like to create new things on the map and to create the meta in a sense.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try to do on Vertigo. And yeah, that's our long-term objective is still the same, playing the 7 maps. We have MDL, luckily, that we can experiment a little bit on.
Yes.
And so that's those are things that we use for practice with our team and knowing where we stand on specific maps.
I mean, that's super interesting about you guys saying you kind of want to create the meta, because that's what I feel like the French team has kind of been known for that in the past, just reinventing the game. I kind of want to just pick up on Alex a little bit. He was added to the roster in late December of last year. Was he, just from what you're saying, it seems like he's quite an open player. Was that a kind of an appeal of getting him in on the team?
Yeah, so when we created a roster and in general with how we approach the role, movements that we want some core values, which are, for example, hard work. We want people that will dedicate themselves to the game 100%, and no matter what happens, and people that are open-minded. So he was in-game leading with LDLC, and yet when we called him in to the roster, he obviously knew that he was not going to be the in-game leader because I was leading the project, and yet he 100% went into it and completely gave himself 100% to the project, even though it was not his ideas, etc. So he is very dedicated in that sense and a very, very hard worker. And so we did not plan to have him in-game lead, but because it's just a natural process where we saw that he could make it, he has some good ideas. It would probably make him more comfortable. At first it was an experiment, obviously, to see how it would go, and it turned out pretty good. So we're just going that way, and yeah, as long as it's going good, like efficiency matters in the end.
Yes.
If it's efficient, we're gonna keep it. If it's not efficient, we're gonna change it at that point.
Was it his idea to come in and start doing the T-side calls, or was it kind of you that realised that potentially could be a benefit?
No, that came from me, where I went to my coach, discussed that idea with him, and then we just went to him, and he accepted to try that, and it works out. So that's where, in my sense, I see myself more as a captain / project leader of that project, more than actual in-game leader that controls everything. Because that's not what I like. Even when I create things, I give a lot of to the players in order for them to do what they really like, and that's what's going to work in the long term, so that everybody's happy and we have a more efficient game style. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, just talking about the French scene as a whole, in recent years, there hasn't really been that one big, consistent, dominating French team like there has been in the past with like Titan, Envious. What do you think needs to happen for the French scene to kind of get a resurgence of that same form, and what are you guys trying to do with the team to kind of get back to that top spot?
So I think the best roster we had could have been a world beater. I'm talking G2 when we got benched with a just by swapping roles, I think we could have been an excellent team, but and now what we're doing is that we're just trying to have a different philosophy in the way we created that team and the values we put. And so that's the core thing that we changed when we created it. And ZywOo is a hard worker. Apex is a hard worker. I work hard. Alex works hard, and RPK works hard. So there's like all those common points where if you put that much effort into the game and you have a decent mind, you don't even need to have the greatest mind for the game, but like a decent mind, then you would have results, and you would be more and more consistent. And on top of that, we have now the individuals that can really make it work, make the system work. So yeah, we just plan on doing that and keep on doing that in order to be the best and get a French team back on top again. But I think we already got teams or like fans excited already with the roster and what we've been accomplishing.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
In a span of, what is it, like 5, 6, 7, 8 months, we achieved already a lot. And I think very few teams came from open qualifiers for the major, for example, and made it like one game away from the playoffs. All that sort of stuff. And now we have several big tournaments coming up, where we're going to be able to prove that we can go one step higher. So that's the main objective. It's a grind from beginning to the end, and there's just one more step. That's legit the only thing. And we don't look any further than that. It's just step by step we have to make it.
Do you think that's kind of been almost an advantage for you guys as a team? Because like you said, you have come up, just using ECS as an example, you came up from the Pinnacle Cup, came through the qualifiers, and you're making it to the big stage. Is taking it sort of one step at a time, do you think that's kind of been a benefit to you guys rather than looking at the whole picture and putting pressure on yourself to achieve greatness? Because you've achieved really great results in, like you said, such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think it is good, especially in the mentality point of view, because even in our practice and everything, it was step by step. Like I was organizing everything, and to me, it's really when we created the team. The number one rule for me was with a team, even in practice, that goes outside of the top 30 in the world ranking.
Yeah.
Because to me, it is very important. If you want to grind, you cannot, like, your average level has to be a certain way that you have to beat teams consistently that are higher and higher in the ranking. And so that's what, again, we're trying to do even right now. And so it was a whole process, and it helped us because you have to focus on different things, and so you have to learn how to adapt to each and every team, because the level of Counter-Strike right now is so high that you cannot underestimate one team, because so many teams can beat you nowadays. It is madness. The average level of Counter-Strike is crazy, and so yeah, it helps us because when you go into those open qualifiers, when you go into those very tough fields, you have to know how to game. You have to widen your map pool and take advantage of every single thing you can have against other opponents, and be strong individually. So like the core values, literally, of a team, and we took him, and we only had that in order to go through those open qualifiers. And now that we're higher in a ranking, we can focus on different things, which is creating meta, adapting to the meta, playing against the top teams and what they're doing. And we don't really have to focus on like adapting our game too much to other teams, because mostly everyone plays a style of Counter-Strike that is roughly the same. So that's the big difference, I think, between before and now. And those values came from starting at zero. I don't think it has any, gratifying mental value where we take. I mean, we kind of take pride of starting from zero and being there. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Efficiency and the results is everything that matters. The way for you to get there, fuck it. It's like, if we would have got an invite to like some tournaments at the very beginning, then we would have taken them. And maybe we would have tried faster. But we've been playing with the cards we've been given. Any way we can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, you've worked extremely well to be able to get to all, like you said, all these top tournaments. Just quickly talking about the other teams, is there anybody you're particularly looking forward to facing at ECS? Dare I say, the big Danish boys of Astralis? Are you excited to be facing them?
Oh yeah, I've been very upset when they lost Nuke against ENCE, because I wanted to be the first team to take them down. Nuke, because I don't know, I mean, in practice at least, we had a very, very good track record against them on Nuke. So I wanted to be that first team. But, you know, just saying that against about one team shows how good they are and how much they are the one target to beat for everybody.
Yeah.
So of course we want to, you know, we're competitors. We want to face the best, especially when we feel that we have a chance against them to face them and be doing good stuff against them. But again, yeah, they're the big ones. On the other hand, it's going to be a pretty funny tournament, I think, because the level is quite. The average level is quite is very good, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like every team is pretty much on the same level with Astralis, that is, and so that's gonna make room for some upsets and some teams, you know, that we don't necessarily face on a daily. Yeah, aside from the Danish are obviously the #1 team to beat.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, NBK. It's been absolutely wonderful to get to speak to you, especially about the whole Vitality lineup. And you can join NBK at ECS Season 7 Finals in London. Get your tickets now. It starts on June. Well, it's open to the public on June 8th. We'll be having matches from June 6th to June 9th. And I'm so excited to see all the teams competing there. But I think all that's left to say is good luck, Nathan, for your matches in London.
Okay, boy in the team, so I think that's pretty important to note. Alex is from England. He is the English nationality.
Exactly.
So
I mean, I've been speaking to people about this. People are saying he's he's technically British, but he's very French.
Yes,
in other senses,
he's very French. Yeah, that's for sure. Very French, but he has British nationality. So, you know, that
best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Nathan.